heard you were hoping for a robust cask strength whiskey today.
I just can't believe you keep dragging me out my deathbed for this stuff.
Yeah. Malcolm, good to see you at the bar.
Good to be here.
Yeah, it's a regular episode. Something's changed on the bar. We're not going to point it out, but we hope your eagle eyes pick up on it. Yeah.
I like it.
It's a regular episode. We also got a bottle picked out.
Yes.
So we know what we're drinking and we can chat while it breathes.
Oh,
yep.
I hate to say it, but our crew has let us down.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm going to fix it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know what you noticed.
Yeah, right.
Here we go. Today it's going to be bottle. Oh, man.
143.
143. So I've got to get up and it's right here.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, totally. All right, here I go. Bottle 143. All right. Looks like we were at bottle. It's gone off the screen, but we're at 143. So that brings us all the way to the bottom shelf. 38, 40, 42, 43. A Scapa. This will make Mal happy. This will throw Mal off a little bit too. So this is the Scapa Glansa. So Scapa is an island distillery on the Isle of Orkney along with Highland Park. The two most northern distilleries, unlike Wolfburn, which is the most northern mainland distillery, Scapa and Highland Park are both situated north of there on an island. Now, Scapa is traditionally, we would say, is a very smooth, buttery, creamy, enjoyable whiskey, and our recollection of our favorite, the Scapa 16, which has been discontinued. This is what's going to throw Malcolm off. This is the Glansa, which means, in Norse, shining storm-laden skies. This is a peated version of a Scapa. So I think this is a lightly peated. I've not had it before, and so certainly I'm excited to try it. Looks like we have a few more notes here. This is, you see, again, everybody, truly genuine. This is batch 1 of the Glansas, and this was distilled in 6 years ago, in 2016. So this bottle's been here for a spell. We got it right off the bat, it appears. Glansa. Batch 1, GL01, 40% ABV. We'll see you back at the bar and we'll see what Mal has to say. Did you hear how close we came to the Scapa 16?
As I was whisked off and brought back onto the set, yes, I did.
Yep. It's we missed it by one. One of our favorites is the Scapa 16, which has been discontinued, though we have a number of bottles still on set here. And we missed it by one. But we still come across a Scapa we've not had.
I heard.
The Glansa. Now, in taking a look at the label, this they take their signature smooth, fruity single malt, which we're very familiar with.
Yes.
And aged in American oak. And then they take that and they only rest it in a cask that's held peat before.
Ooh.
So it's not as if they've used peated malt or anything like that. So we're going to probably, according to them, heather honey and a very subtle smoky finish. Essence. Wisp. So let's get it open and breathing. Batch number 1, buddy.
Oh, okay.
At some point in the future, there may be some regrets when it comes to the bottles we opened.
No.
Not really.
Well, you maybe.
No. Here it goes. Opening batch 1 of the Glansa. This is actually one of the ones that they put out when they took the 16 off the market.
Okay.
There it is. It's open. So it's been sitting here for a few years, so hopefully we won't have a cork failure. Oh yeah, easy.
Lively.
Lively?
Yeah. Oh, good gurgle. Definitely a different color from the 16.
It's got a little bit of that darkness in it.
Yes.
As if it was spent some time in a peated cask. Those are those things you were discussing.
Actually, the way you did this was actually pretty impressive. I have to say, it was nice.
Just read.
As I was getting beamed out and beamed back in, you were putting those back in.
Yeah. Oh, is there something on the back of this bottle? Nothing of note. So a 40% ABV. So as we know, that's the lowest ABV we can have.
And call it Scotch.
And call it a Scotch. Do you have a fond memory of a Scapa? I have an embarrassing memory of a Scapa in a sad situation.
Oh, the spillage one?
The breakage one?
The breakage one?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I have, the Scapa 16, without doubt, is probably my favorite or go-to Scotch. When that came off the market, it was a very, very, very sad day. A good day was when you said, "Oh, I'd managed to freaking acquire a few bottles," but it certainly was. That was probably with that and Cardu, the Cardu 12, are the two bottles that I think really introduced me to the game. And the Scapa was definitely the one that sent me to another freaking level.
When I read the Scapa 16 was getting discontinued, I did run around New Hampshire, and I think I bought the last 8 bottles in the state. And I believe we still have 3 or 4 here in the bar.
Yes, and you gave me one.
That was nice of me.
That was very nice.
I know you like it.
But I think we're going to have to take that one camping because if we're going to base
it to the bottom.
It's like about that much. I think.
Yeah. And so, again, when we were sort of with the paintball team, we got together for our anniversary game, our 25th
that was the anniversary game?
Yeah.
I knew it was a paintball game.
And we were sort of celebrating ourselves and sort of still feeling sad and to this day at the passing of our teammate Salami. And so we were drinking lots of whiskeys that day, and I brought down a Scapa 16, and we got through about half the bottle, and it fell off the bar and hit a ceramic floor.
Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah. So I guess that would be a libation for our friend and teammate Salami.
Yep. No,
he got the rest of that bottle. Yep.
And that's a good bottle to have.
Yep, for sure. So this is the Glansa. It's, again, I think means, it's a Norse word. It's an adjective. Shining storm laden skies.
Now
so it's a bright, stormy day, right?
Red sky. No,
red sky at night. Red sky at night. Sailors delight. Red sky in morning. Sailors take warning.
So that'd be red sky in the morning.
Red skies in the morning. Take warning.
So I'm going to ask you.
You might have that backwards, but the rhyme is there.
Question about this Scapa. Yep. I see on the label, and I'm sure they'll get to see it when they see the bottle at the end of the show. The Orcadian. Now, is that something they label their bottles with, or is that just part of this batch? Or
I believe the 16 was the Orcadian.
Correct.
And then the Glansa is the Orcadian, but because they discontinued the 16, they kept it as their signature name. And the Skirian, which is the other release, which is then, I think, a non-peated, though we'd have to look, is also an Orcadian, and then it's the Skirian. Yeah. So I don't know what Orcadian means.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I remember when we had this conversation when it was going down and they were taking the 16th off, and I looked around and I was like, oh, it's right here.
And I was like, nope.
Yep. Okay, so the Orcadian would just stay with the bottle.
They kept it there. Yep. And I think actually what happened is at that point in time, Scotch whiskey single malt was exploding, and they just didn't have the stock to keep up with a 16-year-old. So this is a no age statement. It doesn't mean that there aren't 16-year-old whiskeys in here, but if there are, it means that there are whiskeys that are under 16 because you have to age statement at the youngest whiskey in the bottle.
Correct.
Right. So we don't know. But I'm looking forward to trying it. Are you ready to give it a go? All right. Here you go, buddy. So I think you noticed right off the bat that we have a little bit of a darker color. I'm attributing that to maybe sometime in that peated cask. We know it's been aged in American oak. I would say this might be a fall honey, a late season honey.
Yeah, I was going to say a dark amber was where I was going with that, but that's the honey thing I like. I think that's even better.
Yeah. Nice healthy pour today.
It's almost like you know something's up.
Yeah, all right. Well,
and the sheets as one big sheet. Yeah. Which is interesting because I think this is the second one we've done in this season that's done that.
Yeah, it really does drop right down. I wonder if we're going to have anything oily in here. Ready?
Yeah.
Oh. Starts off easy, then I had a little burn.
Yeah, right at the very end.
Right at the very end, yeah.
But you can
The top of the nose.
You can smell the heather.
Okay.
I picked that up.
I was going to say I'm getting that little wispy of the peat very faintly.
That I'm not getting.
And it's calming down rather quickly. Feels friendly.
Smells friendly.
It's a Scapa.
It is a Scapa.
I'm just going to try it. We've got a late season honey, a medium amber. We've got a friendly entry, a little bit of a burn at the top of the nose.
I'm interested to the peat part.
You've got the heather. I've got some of that wispy peat. Let's just give it a try. The Glansa Scapa, no age statement, 40% ABV.
Cheers.
Huh. It's got a finish.
It does.
It's lasting.
And there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more oomph to it than the smell portrays. And you can catch that. Oh, and it's almost like I'm going to go back to that menthol, that feeling that you get when you have a menthol mint in your mouth. You get that sort of like overall and you get a cooling sensation.
It's got some layers of flavor in here. As I held it in the front of my mouth for a while before bringing it back, as per their notation that we're going to find some of that wispy peatiness on the finish. So because I knew it was there, I could find it in the front of my mouth just a little bit, but really it was all these other flavors of this fruity honey, this heathery, this grassland, this smooth whiskey that had some depth of character. And then when I brought it back, it began not a punch, not a oomph, but just this transition, almost like just sort of like, oh, you're just rolling into the next layer.
And that's maybe that storm they're talking about.
Yeah.
Because you sort of get that feeling like there's something brewing in the front end.
Something's coming.
And then as you swallow it down, you get this explosion. And it goes all across. The only thing I will say is I'm having a hard time picking out the peat.
It's very subtle.
I'm having a very hard time picking it out.
Nothing there?
A very hard time.
No, I've got it. And it is subtle. And they're not lying, right? I don't feel like their barley's been roasted with peat. It just sat around in some peat experience.
That second round.
You got it?
Now it sort of rolls and you catch it at the very back. As it rolls off your tongue and about to sweet, you catch that. Just that little, it's enough to allow you to realize it's there. Yeah. But it's very, 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 very subtle.
I like the idea that the weather is changing, right? But it's not like it's more like a roll.
Yes.
Here it comes. Oh, yeah, we saw it coming, right? And so that front to back are very different, but clearly it's the same day.
It's like this.
Right.
Oh, this, and then goes up.
Right, and I want to go, and then it goes, and down isn't, it is just this real change, but it's the same whiskey the whole time.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Because even in that wisp of the peat and the smoke, I'm really, and now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, I am really following honey through this whole whiskey.
I would just, there's the honey taste that goes right through it.
It's still hanging in my mouth right now.
I would call it, and I'm not, it's just, it sits right there. And I can feel it. I can taste it. Like every time I go to you can taste it, and it just has coated my tongue completely.
It is a really nice honeyed whiskey with a wisp of smoke. That the heather, grassy, right, and all that makes sense too. It's complex. It's deep. Certainly, there are more complex whiskeys out there, but this whiskey is no slouch.
No, and especially since we're throwing against something that we really enjoyed in the 16. This will be my second real
We
body
had that.
into-
We had that
Oh,
Scapa, the
that's
green
right,
apple
the
Scapa.
green apple, which was good as well.
Yes, it
in
was
a different way.
Yeah.
So corrected. This is my third venture, but I will say
I'll do it again too. We drank a 72 Scapa as well that was gifted to me by the crew a few years ago. Yeah, it was a New Year's Eve bottle.
I never remember.
Okay,
so it's fourth time into this.
Should we go for 5? No.
Fourth time into
That's
this.
4 that I know of.
This is actually really impressive because now it's like almost like opened up the door again and say, hey, look, there is something.
Yep.
That is comparable in the sense that you're not going to get the same as you get with the 16.
Yep.
But this is a very, very, very good drink. Especially if you like honey, especially if you want to freaking dabble a little bit in peat, because you really haven't got any.
Yeah,
in the sense it won't strike you down.
Right, the peat is really this adjunct experience. It's not dominant, but it shifts it substantially from the beginning. It's this small little thing that matters a lot. It's like if you bang your little toe on something. It's just my little toe, but it shifts your whole experience, right? That wisp of peat really takes this front and back end and makes them uniquely different, clearly with the same spirit.
And this is much more subtle than, was it the Glenfiddich
peated cask?
Yes. Much more subtle than that was.
Oh, clearly.
That one, it's almost like they took like, okay, we're going to throw some peat in and we're going to call it good.
Yeah.
This was almost like, well, we're just going to put it in this barrel of peat and we're going to just freaking let it do its thing for a little while and then we're going to pour it.
Yep.
No, this is good. This is tasty.
All right. Well, as we start to think about winding down the Scapa Glansa, their subtly peated offering, I've got some briny green olives. Might be interesting for a seashore whiskey. I've got your favorite, orange chocolate. I've got a 70% dark chocolate, and I've got some Vermont cheddar. And so, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking I'm going to freaking do the orange chocolate.
Of course you are.
No, the last time we did this, Rick, and I went for the cheese.
I'm going to do the dark chocolate. Okay. So you're here, and I'm here.
And the reason I'm doing this,
I want to hear your.
I want to bring that honey.
Okay.
I want to bring that honey out.
All right. I debated on the olive, but I just don't think we're seaside briny enough.
Plus, I'm not gonna lie to you, I do like that one chocolate. It's almost like
we know you like the orange.
It's almost like a Jaffa cake.
All right, I'll go first.
Go.
So I was getting the chocolate in the shop the other day, and this happened to be right there with this woman. And she was just like, oh, there's no 80 or 85s. And I said, oh, they're on the other side. And so suddenly it was like we were in this We're Experienced chocolate buyers club. And so she's just like, whoa, what are you doing? Because I wanted the 70. And I said, whiskey and blah, blah, blah. And I didn't want to do an 80 or an 85 because I think sometimes those chocolates can get a little too dry, a little too bitter, and may not always complement the wide range of whiskeys. Mm-hmm. If we were purposefully picking a whiskey, there might be an 80 or an 85 chocolate that would be a good match. But I felt like 70% was a good middle ground. And I'll just say this, I don't feel disappointed in this 70% because it didn't bring out more of anything in the whiskey. It just sort of fell right in line with what was happening. And so the honey is I'm still having that experience. It didn't make it sweeter. It didn't pick up any of the bitterness from the chocolate. It was just a very smooth experience.
Mine was almost completely the opposite.
Okay.
Mine was, now I get this explosion of the chocolate bitterness in the beginning, and then it smooths out and you get that honey at the very end. Yeah. Very different.
And
very
so
different.
How did the orange pair with the Glansa?
Almost a little bit too overpowering.
That was my wonder. My wonder was because I just know how potent that orange is, and I feel like it really does well with the sherry casks.
Correct. And I think that's going to be my take is, if we're not doing a sherry cask, I'm not going to do that anymore because I feel as not a complimentary. This was almost parallel. but it had two different journeys. When we did it the first time around, you got that honey, you get all this taste all the way through. This time around, you get this explosion of bitterness because of the chocolate.
Yep.
Then you get this overwhelming orange.
Yep.
And at the very end, you catch the drink again. Not that it didn't make it bad.
Right.
It just was a completely different drink.
Lesson learned.
Correct.
Right. And I think that's why I shied away from knowing how potent that orange is and knowing that the transition in this whiskey from the beginning to the back end was such a subtle but yet prominent experience. I didn't want to risk dominating that.
That's spot.
Yep. All right. Well, I think you went in with a little trepidation on a peated Scapa.
I heard that and I was like, "Oh, here we go." But then again, like the show is done. We have gone in and had different expectations or worries or nervousness about something, and time again we get proven wrong.
So I think Mal goes in with trepidation and comes out like Julie Andrews singing a show tune.
Very much so.
Yes. All right. Well, why don't we find out where we're headed to, and for our cheers. So it looks like we're going to Albania, and in Albania, there is a cheers that sounds something like you might say to somebody after a or a sneeze. But before we do our cheers, I just wanted to take a minute and just thank everybody out there for watching the show, and to those of you who have taken the time to click subscribe. We really appreciate you taking this journey with us. So thank you for that.
No, thank you very much.
Yes. And so in Albania, cheers is
Gezuha. Oh, my Lord.
It's like Gesundheit.
It is like Gesundheit.
Yeah. So here we go.
Okay, so it's back to normal.
That is a Scapa through and through.
It is.
Right.
It's interesting because we didn't really say that when we were when we were filming it. But it is a Scapa.
Right, and just that resting, as they claim, resting in a cask that held peat before, a peated whiskey, I'll assume, not just a bunch of peat from the bog. It just transitioned it just enough to be like, yeah, we have a new product here.
And a good one.
And I think I've been hesitant. I mean, obviously we opened per the magic box, but I think I've been a little hesitant on, was it going to live up to the 16?
Which is a tough follow.
It's a task, and it really held up well. I'm pleased with this Glansa.